Hey everybody, it's me, Mr. D, Mr. D's Classroom. Today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about depression, anxiety, and just like mental illness. And the reason I'm doing this, I'm making a change for this video because I have clients that I work with that are still, dealing with, depression and anxiety. And I got into this because as a teacher, I worked with inner city youth. I was in special education, and a lot of the kids I worked with came from broken families, and that includes both sides of the fence. I had, lawyers and doctors' kids that would come to my room after school because I would have I would teach during the day, and I would leave my classroom open so they can come in and have homework, and that way I could set up my next day and things like that. So the kids would come in, and we'd end up having these conversations about depression, and it all started when the school asked me um, to teach 6 hours of government to the government classes. And I mean, there were so many different government teachers, but I had a program called Who Are You? And this program was designed to help students understand who they are, where they are, and how to deal with it. And so when I went to speak to these kids, we went from talking about government to depression and anxiety, and that was every single class. And it just took me back. I realized that these kids are under a lot of pressure, and it was the environment that caused this. And so one day I was in my classroom, and some students came in, and one girl was crying, and we just started talking, and we had these open discussions, you know, and we worked through this whole thing, the issue she had, and she said, "Mr. D, you should write a book." And that's when I wrote the book, a 10-step guide to overcoming depression, anxiety, and mental health issues. So you can find it on Amazon. But I just kind of want to talk to you guys really quick about what I did when I had my issues with depression. And that came because I had hurt myself pretty bad playing football, and I had a stroke. And I thought that, my days were over, but I fixed it, And what I did is I got into what they call a sovereign lifestyle. And this sovereignty, it makes you, it makes you really look at yourself and find out who you are, where you are, and how to deal with it. And when I talk about sovereignty, what I mean is learning to take your life in your hands, understanding that you came here for selfish reasons. You came here to experience this world. You are a spiritual being having a physical experience. And most people think that they are their job. They believe that they're what they're told. Um, they believe, what they do is who they are. And that's just so not true. But, you watch television, all these different influences on these commercials that are just, crazy about like depression and anxiety and how these pills are going to help this go away. That just does not work. That's not the answer. That's just dealing with the symptoms. And the problem is much deeper than that. The problem is that most people don't understand who they really are and why they're here. It's okay to be selfish. And I had to learn that. I had to get to the point where I didn't care what people said about me. And that's probably the best thing that ever happened to me, and it'd be the best thing that happened to you. When you get to the point where you care less, you delegate, you just don't give a damn about what people think about you, then you'll be able to overcome a lot of depression and anxiety. So I look at it this way: who are you? You are a spiritual being having a physical experience, and you are here to learn and to experience this three-dimensional realm for yourself. If you're not happy with who you are, then no one else is going to be happy around you, and you can't make people happy if you're not. And another thing you have to do is look at where you are. So I say, when I talk to people about depression and anxiety, I say the three things you need to know is who you are, where you are, and then you have to know how to deal with it. So where are you? Well, most people think that they are Now, let me put it this way. You live in a world, or in this three-dimensional world, where the United States, you live in this corporation, which most people think is a sovereign nation, and the United States is not. And there's a difference between the United States and there's America. If you were to go to 28 USC 3002, line 15A, you will realize that the United States, and it says right there, the United States is a federal corporation. So what does the word federal mean? Federal means it's just a name. I could name myself Dana Federal Sanders if I wanted to, excuse me, but I don't, because I'm not Dana Federal Sanders. But so the word federal is nothing more than a name. And when you decide that you know that this is not a country, it's a corporation. And what is a corporation? A corporation is an artificial entity that's here for commerce. It's designed for commerce. And corporations they do whatever they can to get every last drop out of you. And when you live in a country, now this is when you know where you are. When you live in a country, most countries are for the people. And the politicians and everybody you vote for are for the people. So they make rules and laws and regulations that help people. Corporations don't do that. Corporations want to get every dime they can get out of you. And if you drop one on the floor, they're going to come get that one too. So that's where you are. And now, like I told you, that quote, you go to US codes and look at that, and just read through it, you will see that a lot of times the depression and anxiety you have comes from an outside force, an outside source, in other words. And, it's just not something that's, compatible with your vibration. So what do? Well, I decided to go into a sovereign lifestyle. I wanted to learn more about the rules and the laws and regulations and who I am and how I can use their own rules against them to reduce my stress level. And that's what I did. I learned how, for prime example, I got a speeding ticket. And this was years ago. So you get a speeding ticket. And when you get a speeding ticket, it is a presentment or it's a contract. That police officer is trying to contract with you. So let's say that speeding ticket is $350. So what you do is you accept the speeding ticket, you accept it, and then you write across that I choose not to contract with you. You sign it, send it back to where it came from. You sign it and you send it back to the address on the bottom. Overnight it or drop it off if you have to. That ticket is dead. You don't have to pay anything. And I know it sounds crazy to you, but these are the type of things I learned, and there's so many more. I mean, dealing with taxes, credit cards, excuse me, all these different things that I learned how to do. And now, my life is it's totally different. So if I get outside pressures, I know how to deal with it. And that's what I want to teach you guys to do. And that's all it is. When you learn who you are, where you are, and then you learn what you're dealing with, a corporation, then the way you get to corporations is that bottom line. They are all about the money. And if you can, deal with that, if you can start pulling that money away, they talk to you totally different. Because of me, even when I deal with the IRS now, it's like, whoa, this guy knows what he's doing. And their whole attitude towards you changes. And I think a lot of people have depression and anxiety because of the system that we're in right now. And they don't know where to go, what to do. And my job is to give you the tools that you need, give you the armor and the weapons to protect yourself. So once you know how to protect yourself, you begin to settle down and, you start to look at life differently. And that's what my goal is, to help you see this world for what it is. Anyway, this is Mr. D, Mr. D's Classroom. Remember, happiness is a choice to choose to be happy, and you are whatever comes after I am. You guys have a wonderful day, and I'll talk to you soon.